This channel is not just about stories. It's about hidden codes that are behind the reality you live in. And perhaps without realizing it, you have been trying to decipher them for years. Here, each case is a key, a clue, a mirror of what you may also be experiencing. Today, what you are about to hear seems impossible, but when you understand the universal laws, the impossible becomes just misunderstood. Have you ever felt like disappearing? Not to physically disappear, but to disconnect from everything, to turn off the networks, leave conversations, stop pretending you're fine, just to see if, in the silence, something finally makes sense. That's exactly what happened to Rachel Morgan, an ordinary woman with a seemingly stable life. At 32, she had a good job as a freelance designer, close friends, a boyfriend with whom she shared an apartment in Portland, and a constant presence on social media. Rachel was one of those people who always seemed to have it all together. Great photos, inspiring quotes, book recommendations, and healthy eating. The kind of person that others looked at and thought, she has it all under control. But what no one knew was what happened when the cell phone turned off, when the feed was closed and the camera was facing the wall. Rachel was always tired. A tiredness that didn't come from her body, but from her soul. She began to feel like everything she posted was an edited version of a life that was no longer hers. I woke up feeling like I was in a repetitive cycle, as if I was playing a role. That no longer made sense, and even surrounded by stimuli, messages, likes, and notifications, she felt completely alone. For months, she tried to fill that void with courses, trips, guided meditations, but nothing seemed to penetrate the deep layer of disconnection that was growing inside her. It was like something was wrong. But there was no clear name to give it. Until one morning, without telling anyone, Rachel deactivated all her social media accounts: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Everything has been silenced. And it was there, in that silent and almost invisible gesture, that everything began to change, but no one noticed right away. Not even her. Have you ever felt something similar? As if your life has become a character? As if, even trying everything, there was an invisible layer between what you feel and what you live? If so, tell me in the comments. What would you like to erase, silence, disappear, just to be able to truly hear yourself? And stay with me until the end of this video. Because what happened to her after this disappearance? No one expected it. And maybe, just maybe, this story is exactly what you needed to hear today. If this has touched you in any way, leave your like now and subscribe to the channel. For years, Rachel Morgan shared her life with the world. She did it with ease, or so it seemed. Every breakfast photographed perfectly, every small achievement turned into an inspiring caption, every smile captured under the perfect late afternoon light. It was as if her life was a visual manual of balance and success. People commented, complimented, told her she was an inspiration. But what no one saw was that between one photo and the next, Rachel cried in the bathroom. That the silences between posts were getting longer. That, behind the beautiful words, there was a scream that only she could hear. She tried to fill herself with external validation. With each like, a micro relief. With each comment saying, "You're amazing," a breath of strength to keep going. But this fuel was unstable. And the emptiness always returned, deeper, denser, harder to ignore. Rachel began to feel like an actress who had forgotten her own name. She followed the script, but she no longer believed in the character. Deep down, she knew something was broken. And it wasn't recent. Social media was just the surface. Behind it, Rachel felt that her energy was running out, that something in her was asking for silence, for seclusion. But she resisted. The world told her that she had to be present, show up, show off. She obeyed, until one day, her body couldn't take it anymore. It started with mild anxiety, then insomnia, panic attacks, and a growing desire to disappear. Not to die, that wasn't it. She wanted to disappear from the noise, from the eyes, from the obligation to look good. She started waking up with a rapid heartbeat. Sometimes she couldn't breathe properly before opening Instagram, as if she already knew what she needed to see. And at the same time, she couldn't bear to see anything else. It was on a cloudy morning, without any notable event, that Rachel made the decision. She opened the apps on her phone, one by one. She deactivated all her profiles. She didn't announce anything. She didn't write a farewell. She just disappeared. The silence was immediate. No notifications, no demands, no shop windows. In the first few days, she felt guilty, as if she owed the world something. But over time, this guilt gave way to another feeling, something rarer, deeper. She began to listen to herself. The days passed, no stories, no posts, no feed. And little by little, Rachel realized something she had never felt clearly before. Time had a smell, texture, presence again. She started walking more, noticing the sounds of the street. Listening to your own breathing, he started writing in a notebook, loose phrases, memories, questions. And there, in the silence, something began to emerge that did not come from the networks nor from the mind. It came from the soul. But nobody knew that, because Rachel didn't talk to anyone. For months, she remained absent. And those who knew her just kept saying, what could have happened to her? Little did they know that the real question wasn't where she was, but who she was beginning to become. And you, ever feel like the world around you is too loud, as if everything was screaming? Opinions, demands, comparisons, and in the midst of all this noise, your own voice was slowly disappearing? Maybe you haven't left the social networks like Rachel, but how many times have you thought about doing so? How many times have you scrolled through your feed with your eyes open but your chest tight, wondering why everything seems so empty? The truth is that many people are living this same struggle in silence, trying to keep their posture, trying to keep up, waking up tired before they even get up, trying to breathe but feeling like there's always something pressing on their chest. Maybe you're going through this right now too, without knowing how to explain it or afraid to admit it. Rachel was no different from you. She also said, it's okay when she wasn't. She also smiled at photos of herself when she felt broken. She also replied with a heart when she felt a hole growing inside. You know that feeling of being surrounded by people, but still feeling alone? Having everything working on the outside, but nothing making sense on the inside? That's it. That's exactly what eats at a lot of people inside. And no one talks about it. When Rachel stepped away from the digital world, she didn't do it out of drama. It wasn't rebellion. It was a cry for help that she could only hear when she kept quiet. And sometimes silence is the only place where the soul can speak louder than fear. Have you ever tried to listen to what is there when the world stops telling you what you should be? How many times have you found yourself wishing to stop everything, just for a day, a week, to try to remember who you were before all this? Before the pressure to be productive, to be interesting, to be desired, to be perfect. Before metrics, invisible pressures, emotional demands disguised as likes. Maybe you are hearing the same call that Rachel heard, not to run away, but to return. Come back to yourself. Because sometimes we get lost without realizing it. You are just here, smile there, give in here and there, and before you know it, you're already living an edited version of yourself, while the original is locked in a dark room begging to be remembered. And perhaps, as you hear her story, you will begin to feel that calling more clearly. Because stories like this aren't just stories, they are reflections. And when a reflection hurts, it's because there's something inside wanting to be seen. Have you ever felt this? That feeling of moving away from yourself? If this part touched you, write in the comments. What part of your life do you feel you left behind and just to fit in? Stay with me until the end, because there is still something profound coming. And it could be that the turnaround that happened to Rachel is closer to your reality than you imagine. Take advantage and leave a like now. Subscribe to the channel, because here each video is a key. And sometimes all you need is the right key to open something that has been locked for a long time. There is a forgotten law, one of those that no one teaches you in school, but that governs everything, even if you don't realize it. It is the law of rhythm. She says that everything moves in cycles, all. Nature, emotions, time, relationships, the soul itself. There is the cycle of expansion, when we speak, share, act, show up. And there is the cycle of withdrawal, when we need to shut up, go. Back inside, be silent. And that is where many people get lost. living only in expansion mode, showing, talking, posting, responding, all the time being something outward, but never diving inward. Rachel lived like this for years, always present, always active, always available. But energetically, this creates an imbalance, because when you force the natural rhythm of your soul, something inside you begins to collapse. And that's exactly what happened to her. What seemed like just a choice to take a break from social media was, in fact, a deep calling from the soul to return to its original rhythm. Because silence, contrary to what many people think, is not a void. It is a sacred space. It is there in seclusion that the law of vibration begins to readjust. The world teaches us that your voice is what defines who you are, but spiritually, it's your frequency that speaks first. And that frequency is shaped by your internal energy. The energy you can only access when you stop absorbing external noise. Rachel, without knowing it, was entering a process of vibrational recalibration. What she stopped posting, what she stopped showing was not absence. It was presence, internal presence. When you become silent, you begin to notice what has been suppressed. The old emotions, the hidden beliefs, the fears you masked with productivity, the pains you drowned out with distractions. It's like you're constantly stirring up a pond, stirring, and complaining that you can't see the bottom. But how are you going to see anything if you never let the water settle? The soul is like that. If you keep stirring the surface, you will never see what is deep down. And what is deep down is exactly where your essence lives. Rachel began to feel this shift in subtle ways. She stopped looking outside for answers. She began to realize that the discomfort she felt was not the end. It was the beginning of truth. A truth that only emerged when her internal frequency had space to emerge. The mornings began to be different, quieter but not lonely. The thoughts that had previously been racing began to slow down. She began to notice patterns that she had previously ignored, small repetitions in life, cycles that she herself attracted. And more than that, she began to notice that the reality around her seemed to be changing. Conversations with people began to sound different. The sensations inside her body changed, and time seemed to breathe along with her. This is where the law of vibration manifests itself, because everything you experience outside is just a reflection of what you vibrate inside. When you change what you feel, you change what you emit, and when you change what you emit, you change what you attract. Rachel didn't attract a new reality just because she wanted it. She attracted it because she finally became compatible with what she had previously only desired. And that's what almost no one understands, that the universe doesn't respond to your request. It responds to your frequency. It's not what you say, it's what you vibrate. And when the vibration changes, everything starts to change too, even if no one sees it, even if everything still looks the same on the outside, because inside a new reality has already begun to form. Rachel's disappearance was not a breakdown, as many imagined. It was a rebirth, but not one of those beautiful ones full of light with calm music and motivational phrases. It was a silent, uncomfortable, lonely rebirth, but deeply true. While others wondered where she had gone, why she had stopped posting, why she was so absent, Rachel was, for the first time, truly present. Not present on social media, present within herself, present in her own thoughts, in her own cycles, in the emotions that she had spent years ignoring. People were looking for her in the outside world, but she was immersed in a world that could not be seen. A place where there were no likes, notifications, or ready-made responses. A place where only what you felt existed, without distractions, without masks. And in that silence, Rachel began to understand what no one had ever explained to her. The reality she lived in was not a punishment, nor bad luck, nor a coincidence. It was a mirror, and this mirror did not show her what she wanted. It showed exactly what she was inside, her beliefs, her fears, her emotional repetitions. It was as if everything she had avoided feeling was there, in front of her, waiting to be recognized. During this time away, she didn't read any spiritual manuals, didn't follow any gurus. She just allowed the void. And what emerged within this void was an understanding that didn't come from the mind. It came from a deeper place, one that we only access when we stop trying to control it. She realized that the pain she had been carrying for years was not random. It was a constant reminder that something was out of rhythm, and more than that, that she herself was feeding, without even realizing it, this repeated frequency of absence, of disconnection, of noise. As the days and then weeks passed, Rachel began to experience small inner miracles, things that seemed simple but had a profound impact. She began to sleep better. Her breathing changed. Her body relaxed. New ideas emerged. Sensations of lightness that she had forgotten existed began to return, and with them, a stronger intuition, a knowing that did not come from logic, but from alignment. She realized that she was returning to something she should never have left, the connection with her own essence, the most incredible part. When all this started happening, nothing had changed on the outside. The city was the same. The people were the same. The world kept turning, but Rachel was no longer the same. And because of that, the world seemed different too, because now she saw everything with different eyes, the eyes of someone who saw what was behind the veil, who understood that silence is not absence, it is alchemy, and that what seemed like loneliness was in fact a reconnection with the source. She began to notice signs, small movements in the universe that she had previously ignored, unexpected reunions, synchronicities, intuitions that were confirmed. Nothing that anyone from the outside could prove, but everything that she already knew inside. It was as if the universe had been waiting silently for her all this time, waiting for her to stop, to be silent, to remember. Because the truth, the one that transforms, does not shout. It whispers, and only those who are silent can hear. If at any point in Rachel's story you saw yourself, if you felt that this silence is also calling you, comment below with the word reborn. This shows that your soul has recognized this path and that you are ready to see beyond what the eyes show. This channel is a space for those who no longer want to survive in the noise, but live with purpose, aligned with something greater. Each like, each subscription strengthens this network of people who are awakening to the universal laws and the true power of the mind and vibration. Do you want to continue deciphering the hidden codes of life? Click on the video that appears there and dive into the next chapter of this journey. The rules exist, and when you understand them, everything starts to make sense.